It's a very busy Tuesday. We're going to have the latest on the devastating wildfires in the Pacific Northwest and the arrest overnight. Alex Stone standing by in Spokane, where hundreds of homes have been lost.
Well, so Jill O'Brien standing by on Capitol Hill, tracking a few stories for us right now, including the new twist in the Max Miller controversy, a big deadline looming there, and Todd Blanchard's AG nomination appears to be back on track.
Plus, could gas prices hit a new milestone? Our chief economics correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, breaks down the latest pain at the pump.
We're going to begin, though, with the dangerous weather. Ginger tracking the heat, smoke, and fire forecast. First, Gio Benitez starts us off at Newark Airport on all the travel trouble along the East Coast after those powerful storms swept through the region. Good morning, Gio.
Hey, George, good morning. Yeah, overnight, almost 24 flights were diverted to Colorado Springs because of severe weather in the skies above Denver. In fact, medical teams actually had to rush to the airport. This as we saw this dangerous weather all across this country. Take a look here. This morning, travel getting back on track after a summer storm snarled traffic in the Northeast Monday. Oh my God. Heavy rains causing flash flooding from Massachusetts to New York. In Newark, New Jersey, drivers risking the deep waters. They reached up to the headlights. Some stalling out, people seen pushing their dead cars out of the way. A similar scene in Camden, New Jersey.
Like driving in a river though.
And in Brockton, Massachusetts too. Vehicles causing waves as they drove through. Water gushing over the wall, flooding this gas station in Connecticut. Multiple trees down across the 5 boroughs in New York, this one crushing a car.
I thought it was just thunder. At least nothing happened to us, right? It didn't fall on the house.
One person was injured when a tree fell on a commuter train on New York's Long Island. And in Plymouth, Massachusetts, a 61-year-old woman was killed by a fallen tree while she was on her back porch. Yeah, really so tragic right there. So yesterday we saw more than 1,000 cancellations, nearly 10,000 delays. So it was really such a mess. Today it's looking a lot better. We're seeing about 200 cancellations so far, but it is going to take a bit to recover, Robin.
And Gio, one of those cancellations impacted Sam Champion. He was supposed to be at work today, but his flight out of Miami was canceled. Thank you, Gio. At least that's his story. You know, Sam.
You read my mind.
No, I'm not sure about that.
I trust Sam.
No. But now the extreme heat and winds in the west creating those dangerous conditions for wildfires. I know you're tracking this for us, Ginger.
If he tries one more day, then we'll know.
Yeah,
it's not
right.
real. But yes, let's talk about what's happening in the Pacific Northwest, the Northern Rockies. From British Columbia down to Utah, we have major wildfires burning and evacuations in place this morning. This fire is called the Wide Mouth 2 fire. It more than doubled in size in 48 hours. So that's the type of issue we're dealing with. On top of that, the containment there is 0%. The smoke, even if you're not right next to these wildfires, the air quality is going to be poor throughout the state of Oregon. This was from Portland yesterday. I checked this morning, airnow.gov. Boise, Bend, Oregon, Yakima, Spokane, all in the unhealthy category already. So you're seeing all of those smoke air quality alerts. But there are also still some red flag warnings in Colorado and Utah. The winds will be bigger there. Michael, just note that this goes through the midweek. We're going to see unhealthy air quality sticking around and the heat building. Could even see some records up to Portland by tomorrow.
Yeah, and Jen, we have some breaking news pertaining to the wildfire that came in overnight. Officials say they have arrested a man on suspicion of arson for starting one of the fires, as more than 10,000 acres have now burned in Spokane. Alex Stone is on the scene. Good morning, Alex.
Michael, good morning. Yeah, that arrest being made overnight as families are coming home to this. I'm standing in what was the basement of a home. Everything from the upper floors came collapsing down to here. This filing cabinet still hot to the touch. The water still running here. This family has been sifting through trying to find their items, what they had. They've been able to find very little.
This morning, officials announcing the arrest of a suspect they say is responsible for starting the Old Trails fire, the most destructive of the 3 fires currently ravaging Spokane.
The witness, a citizen, very good citizen, noticed a male standing on the side of the road looking into the trees as he was going to pick somebody up. About 10 minutes later, as he was coming back through the area, he noticed the male was bending down near some grass.
More than 10,000 acres have burned in the Spokane area. Fire trucks surrounded by huge blazes as crews rush to contain the flames. The sheriff saying 14 people are unaccounted for, but incredibly, nobody has been killed or even seriously injured, despite the flames moving so quickly.
That's our house right there. It's about to go down in flames.
Close to 70,000 residents forced to evacuate. Firefighters say at least 700 homes have been destroyed, but that number could increase substantially.
I've been to a lot of places around the world, and I can tell you today that that's a war zone.
Families digging through the remains of their homes.
My childhood photos, everything that, you can't get back.
Jana Jensen grew up in this house, her childhood home gone.
I feel lost. Every memory of my children are down there. Every memory of my grandchildren are down there. I just feel empty. I can't even say I feel hurt.
And across the West, more wildfires erupting. Crews capturing this massive fire NATO as they work to contain the Coleman Creek fire in southwest Oregon.
George, take a look at this. As everything collapsed down from the upper floors, this was the refrigerator. The family showing us the one thing that survived in their home. There is an apple right here that looks untouched. It rolled out of that refrigerator when it collapsed down, that apple right there. George.
Wow, that is really something. Okay, Alex, thanks very much. We're going to get the latest now on President Trump and the reflecting pool. Prosecutor Jeanine Pirro has now dropped vandalism charges against all individuals accused drawing fire from Trump, despite overwhelming evidence that faulty repair work caused the damage. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the story. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. And President Trump is now lashing out at U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro and refusing to accept her conclusion that botched installation, not vandalism, is to blame for the problems with his $15 million taxpayer-funded renovation of the reflecting pool. This morning, President Trump's close ally, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, is on thin ice. Trump slamming Pirro for dropping her case against former Olympian David Hearn, who was charged with vandalizing the newly renovated reflecting pool. The president's so furious, sources say he's privately mused to aides about whether he should fire her. And late yesterday, Pirro spotted at the White House for a meeting with the president.
I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro, really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella.
Hearn was arrested after stopping to check out the damage while on a bike ride, saying he saw a piece of loose paint in the water and reached out and touched it. But on Friday, Pirro dropped the charges, saying documents from the Department of the Interior indicate the damage to the pool was not because of Hearn, but the result of a botched installation, blaming the contractors. Pirro saying had the Interior Department been forthcoming with the information clearly in its possession, the government would not have sought a grand jury indictment. The filing directly contradicting Trump's claims of vandalism. Pirro claiming her prosecutors were misled by the Interior Department, which awarded no-bid contracts worth nearly $15 million, despite having virtually no federal experience doing federal contracts.
Our focus is get the case dismissed, but after that, all options are on the table, and we're very seriously evaluating that. Mr. Hearn has been told he might have faced up to 10 years in prison, despite knowing he was innocent.
Pirro also dropping 3 misdemeanor cases related to destruction of property at the reflecting pool. All 4 prosecutions claiming vandalism have now been dropped. President Trump is still refusing to accept Pirro's conclusion and decision to drop these charges. And this morning, while questions remain about her future with the administration, sources do caution that nothing is final in this matter until Trump says so. Robin.
All righty there, Mary. Thank you. Now the latest on the war with Iran. President Trump has issued a warning that he is giving Iran, quote, one last chance to make a deal. Matt Rivers on the scene in the Middle East in Amman, Jordan. Good morning to you, Matt.
Robin, it does seem like negotiations are ongoing between both sides, but yet again, confusion remains about what progress, if any, is being made. Trump at the White House yesterday calling this Iran's, quote, last chance to make a deal. Asked about that deal's prospects, he said, I don't know, but I want to give every last chance before decapitation. The Iranians, though, continuing to deny that direct negotiations with the U.S. are even going on, something that we should take with a grain of salt, as Iran often says that as a negotiating tactic. Trump, though, frustrated with those Iranian denials, calling their leadership, quote, unbelievably duplicitous. Now, key to any deal will be the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, but even this deal being discussed would not take it back to the free passage through the strait that was in place before the war began. For now, Iran, though, saying that they are only talking with Oman and not the U.S., Michael, about a deal to reopen that strait.
All right, Matt, thank you for that. And let's get the latest on how the war is impacting the stock market and gas prices here at home. Our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, is tracking it all for us. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning to you, Michael. And the reaction in markets is immediate here, with oil prices now ticking slightly higher this morning, with those talks between the U.S. and Iran remaining uncertain. And the place we feel it first, right here in the United States, is at the pump, with the price of gasoline now $4.07 across the country. That is the nationwide average this morning, up 2 cents overnight and more than 30 cents from a month ago. The key for prices to head really much lower here is a signal that is sustained that the Strait of Hormuz and the flow of oil has resumed, and best case scenario, resumed back to pre-war levels. As Matt just reported, we've been here before. It is very uncertain at this time. If prices stay above $4 a gallon beyond next Saturday, it will be the latest in the calendar year prices have remained this high. Prices, George, do tend to go lower starting in September because we use less gasoline after the summer, but this puts a lot of uncertainty into the picture, George.
Yeah, a lot of people keeping an eye on that. Okay, Rebecca, thanks very much. We turn now to the death of a man at Delaney Hall Detention Center. Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Tercy here was the latest on that ICE facility. Good morning, Aaron.
And it has faced questions before over the way detainees are treated. Good morning, guys. This is 39-year-old Salvadoran Edward Lopez Cornejo. Federal authorities said he died over the weekend of a medical emergency while in custody at Delaney Hall, but the cause of his death is not yet certain. And that detention center in Newark has faced protests and congressional scrutiny before. ICE said while in custody, Lopez Cornejo received proper medical care, but his family questioned whether he was given his diabetes medication. Days of violent protests erupted on Memorial Day at Delaney Hall. That's where activists said conditions are inhumane, including inadequate medical care. Lopez Cornejo is the second detainee to die in custody at Delaney Hall in the last 8 months, and by ABC News count, he's at least the 23rd to die in ICE custody this year. Border Patrol said he'd been living illegally in the U.S. for the last 20 years before his arrest in June in Plainfield, New Jersey. He had a 12-year-old daughter. His mother called him an excellent son and a good father, and his family will be at a church in New Jersey today demanding an investigation, guys.
Yeah.
23 dead this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Aaron, for your reporting on that. Now to President Trump's nominee for Attorney General, Todd Blanche, apparently back on track with a key vote set for this morning after he agreed to eliminate a fund to benefit the president's political allies and to limit a tax immunity deal for the president and his family. Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill with the latest. Good morning, Jay.
Robin, good morning to you. Todd Blanche's nomination is expected to clear a key committee vote this morning after he struck a deal with two Senate Republican holdouts. John Cornyn of Texas and Thom Tillis of North Carolina vowed they would not vote Blanche out of committee unless he agreed to officially kill a $1.8 billion fund that would have paid taxpayer dollars to the president's political allies, including January 6th rioters. Over the weekend, Blanche agreed to rescind the order creating that fund, but he didn't do away entirely with other ways for the DOJ to pay those Capitol rioters, as President Trump has repeatedly said he wants to do. As part of that deal, Blanche also narrowed a sweeping IRS immunity deal to only apply to past, not future tax returns of the president, some members of his family, and the Trump Organization, although that could still benefit the president to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. Remember, this morning is just a committee vote, but if Blanche gets out of committee, which again, he is expected to, he goes to a full Senate floor vote sometime this week. George.
And Jay, the president has opened up another avenue to profit from the presidency. His media company is now charging subscribers up to $1.2 million a year for early access to his Truth Social posts.
That's right, George, and that started this weekend. Early access to Trump Truth Social posts from the parent company of Truth Social offered as a subscription to traders. It's only by a few milliseconds, but it could make some traders millions of dollars. President Trump, remember, is the largest shareholder in the parent company of Truth Social. Democratic senators are already calling for an investigation into this by the SEC. They say that it could harm faith in the market, and they call it an outrageous abuse, quote, of the president's office, George.
Okay, Jay, thanks very much, Michael.
All right, we're going to turn now to the first death reported in the ongoing parasite outbreak that has sickened thousands of people across the country. Officials in Michigan are now reporting 2 people have died. Elizabeth Schulze has the latest for us. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Michael. This outbreak of cyclosporiasis is one of the biggest foodborne illness outbreaks in U.S. history, and now it has turned deadly. Officials say 2 people died in Michigan from the parasitic stomach illness. They say that both individuals had significant underlying health conditions that may have been impacted by cyclosporiasis and dehydration. Now, we don't know what those underlying conditions are or the patient's ages. Typically, this illness is not deadly. Nationwide, there are a record-breaking more than 18,000 cases of this in 45 states. Those numbers are expected to go up because it can take up to 6 weeks to identify the illness. So far, the FDA has linked cases in 9 states to iceberg lettuce sourced from Taylor Farms in central Mexico and then served at Taco Bell. That lettuce has been voluntarily recalled. Michigan is the epicenter, and thankfully cases there have started to level off. State officials say lettuce is a potential source, but they do add that other food items cannot be completely ruled out. In North Carolina, health officials reported that some people who got sick may have eaten parsley and cilantro. So right now, the recommendation is to wash your lettuce, herbs, and any other fresh produce thoroughly under running water, even if it is already pre-washed, George.
You got to do it. Okay, we're going to switch gears now. Powerball jackpot, it climbed again overnight. They're now in the all-time top 10.
It's massive. Good morning to you, George. So no winners still in the Powerball jackpot. It's now at $786 million. That's the 9th largest in the lottery's history. Monday night's drawing was the 40th consecutive where no one won the top prize. It's now on a run dating back to early May, and as a result, we now have the largest jackpot since the $1.8 billion winner on Christmas Eve last year. That's quite a present. If you are planning on what you will do with your winnings, please note the cash payout for this one is $341.6 million. And while most winners take the fast money, the jury is still out on whether that's the best decision. Taxes greatly reduce your take-home bounty, while others opting for the payments over 30 years. That nets you quite a bit more, $495 million. Some financial experts say if you take the lump sum, even conservative investments will grow your money more than taking that annuity. So it's a nice problem to have. The next drawing is tomorrow night. Just something to noodle on while you're waiting for the lottery.
I'm not thinking about 30 years. Give me my money right now.
Show me the money.
Thank you, Larry.